Everyone, this is Gary again. Last video we went over, video 3. This is video 4. In video 3 we went over creating our database class and implementing that into the framework. The database class allowed for prepared statements and things like that. The next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and implement our session class and get that started using the PHP framework. So basically what we're going to do through this the session class is we will be telling PHP to store the sessions locally, which is not what we're going to be going for at the end of building this framework. Towards the end of the building the framework, we'll modify the session class and make it use database storage for session keys. But for now, the session class is going to use native PHP sessions. So we want to create a basically a file. It's going to be called sessions or session.php within the core classes folder. So inside of this file, we want to go ahead and open up with our session class. Within this class, we'll have our construct function. And this class has 0 private or public variables here, basically because everything it actually reads from is super global, so it don't need any kind of internal anything. First thing we want to do inside of the construct function, though, is we want to go ahead and start our section, and there'll be something that we do before that. It'll be basically if not is set, and we'll focus on that session super global there. So we're saying if the session hasn't already been started, go ahead and start it. This will allow us to construct this class from anywhere within the system. The next thing we want to be able to do is say for each, and we'll go ahead with cookies as key is equal to value, and we'll say if not is set session key, and we'll say JSON decode this value here. Well, yeah, that value. And then we'll say if else. So we'll say if JSON, basically JSON has several functions that wraps around it. So we'll say last error is equal to JSON error, I think it's none. Yeah, JSON error none. So if there's not an error, then our session key, so we'll say session key is equal to JSON decode value, and then we'll say else session is just the session key is just equal to our value. So now that's pretty much it for our construct function. So basically it's just making sure that that our session key, our session super global, is in sync with our cookie super global. So making sure we have the same session values for all of our cookies. The next thing we want to do is we'll say static function check, and we're going to look for a key, and inside of this we'll say if is array, and we'll say key, and we'll say set is equal to true, and now we'll say for each, and we'll say for each key as k, and we'll say if not session check, and we'll reference this key. So basically this function will call itself over and over and over for each item inside of an array. So this allows for multi-dimensional arrays and things like that. So we'll say set is equal to false. And the next thing we want to do is underneath this this if statement, we'll say key is equal to, or key equals session generate session key, which is not a function inside of the script yet. But basically what we want to do is we want to be able to have any other framework installed and not get the keys mixed up, even if we have the keys named the same thing. Or even this framework installed side by side. So basically what we want to do is we'll say function, this will be static, function generate session key, and basically what we'll do is we'll target this directory string. So basically we'll say prepend is equal to directory, and then we'll say append is equal to well, we'll focus on the globals config app name, and I think that's the name of the variable, and I messed up on that whenever I created it in the first video, so that's fine though. So we'll do this. So now what we can do is we can say key, and we'll return the MD5 of prepend dot key dot append. So now that makes sure that the actually we don't even need this prepend, and we'll actually say version. That way if you change your variables for any reason within the version, it'll log everybody out. So globals config version, and currently the version is not set, so we want to do this, and we'll say 0.1 0.1. Oops. And that's the way we'll do that. So now if our app name changes, then it'll unset all the variables, or if we have two of the same versions of different apps, then that would be unique. But if we have the same app and we updated it across the entire platform and gave it a different version, and all of our users would be logged out at that point. So that's what we want. So the next thing we want to do is we want to return isSet session key. And then we're going to say a static function get, and inside of this it's going to have a parameter of key, inside of this this function, we're going to say if is set session get or generate, sorry, session key, and we're going to pass down this this key variable here, and we'll also have an else here, and inside of the else we'll return just false, and we'll return basically if this is set, this is what we'll return. So all the way to here. And we have just a couple more functions here. It's actually just a very simple class. Probably one of the easiest things we've done since we started this series. We'll do static function set, and this will have 3 parameters. It'll have key value, key value, and a TTL, which should equal to 0 by default. So now we can say session generate session key is equal to value, and then we'll say if TTL is not equal to 0, or not equal to 0, sorry, and we'll say if is object, and we'll pass down our value, or is array. We'll also pass down our value here, and then we'll say value equals JSON encode value, and under here we'll say set cookie, and this will be the one that takes the name, value, time to live, directory. So we'll start out like this. We'll say key, so this will be session generate session key, and we'll pass down whatever key this is, and then the second parameter is going to be whatever our value is, so that, and then third parameter will be time plus TTL, and then / and server HTTP host. Now, that's pretty much what our set function will do. The next thing we'll have is we'll have a static function kill. So every function in this class should actually be static except for the construct function. So the kill function will have one parameter, and that's going to be key, and this is going to say unset. Well, before we do unset, we'll say if is set session generate generate session key, and we'll pass down key there. Now we'll say unset, and we'll pass down the same variable, and then underneath that we'll say if is set cookie and we're going to pass down this same function inside of there, and we'll say set cookie. We'll pass down this same thing, a blank string, and we'll say time minus, it could be minus anything, so I'm just going to say 5,000. You just want it before current time on the server. And the next thing we want to do is put that as a /, and I'm going to copy the server HTTP host here. Okay, so that's our kill function. The next thing we want to do is we want to create another static function, and we'll call this end session. Okay, so what this function is going to do is it's going to end our entire session. So we'll say for each and we don't have to reference this generate session key at all inside of this function. So we'll say for each session as key is equal to value. And inside of here we'll say unset session key. And that's all we got to do. Okay, and then we'll do the same type of thing, because this allows for cookies as well, and it does the auto synchronization of the cookies. And we'll say for each cookie as key is equal to value. So cookie and inside of this for each function we're going to say set cookie, and we're going to say key nothing, and then this is going to be that time thing again, minus 5,000, and we'll do a / and then this the same server HTTP host variable again. And then at the end of that we'll say session destroy. So that'll end the whole session. And that's pretty much everything there is to the session class. I mean you want to be able to set or update, destroy, and you may even want to end the entire session, but at the same time you want to be able to have multiple apps installed on the same domain sometimes, maybe under different directories, and you don't want the sessions interfering with each other, and this is a good way to keep that from happening. So the generate session key is a kind of a must in my world, because we have Blavaway, but we also have other applications that may run within the same environments from time to time. So we don't want everything interfering with each other. So generate session key keeps us from having to deal with that. So that was it on video 4 of building a MVC framework from scratch. Next video, I really don't know what our next step is going to be. I know there's a lot more ground to cover, but anywho, well, we'll find out what happens next video. Anyway, other than that, have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time.